All right, Anabolic Academy. This is my favorite part of my YouTube channel because I get to interact with people. I'm hesitant to call them fans because I don't think I have fans. I think I, I appreciate them more than just fans. So you guys are like fucking family, I guess. You've been with me since I started this. It's more like family. So questions from family. You're not gonna want to miss what's coming up this week on Muscle Talk, or me and Jason Arns, which is why I wore the I Prevail Sup shirt. Get your supplements at I Prevail Supplements. We have a very, very, very special guest coming on this week. You are not going to want to miss it. I'm not going to reveal who it is, but you're not going to want to miss it. So make sure you subscribe and you like and you share and tell everybody. And believe me, this one is really a good one. Not that we haven't had good ones in the past, but this guy, he's extremely popular. Let's put it that way. Anyway, all right, let's get right into it. Anabolic Academy, taking questions from the Serious and Salinas family. Here we go. The first one was from Brian Nasser. Brian bought the Masculinity Pride shirt. I only sold one, so that's how I know. Anyway, he writes, will you ever compete again? Fuck no. I will never do that shit again. I hated the prep, and I was never big enough because I only did bodybuilding. So no, I'm 47, and if I want to go out on a Saturday night, eat what I want to do that. I'll leave that to the young guys. Fuck that shit. So let's go to the very beginning, and we have a question from M Cheddar 241. I believe that's how you pronounce it. MCETTA 241. I'm going to go M Cheddar because I'm Italian and that's how you would pronounce it. But it might be M Cheddar. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But this person was nice enough to send me a question, so I'm going to be nice enough to answer it. Who's your favorite current active bodybuilder, physique, personality, training style? My favorite is, I have two favorites, and it's more of a sentimental attachment. I'll explain. So my two favorites are Samson Dowda and Sergio Oliva Jr. And the reason why they're my favorites is because when I first started my channel 3 years ago, when I thought I was going to make a variety channel, and that didn't work out so well, which is why I separated them. I mean, I was literally in it for a couple of months, and I reached out to Samson Dowda, and he came on and he did my show. And it was like, I understand. He was the first elite IFBB pro bodybuilder that I've ever had the chance to interview. So he will always remain my favorite because there was sentimental attachment, right? Second one is Sergio Oliva Jr. because he did the same thing. He was nice enough, and they didn't want to die. They didn't want any money. They just came on, and they were nice to me, and they spoke, and we had a great conversation. And these were two very elite pro bodybuilders, and I had no subscribers, and they came on, and to their testament of their character, Samson has come on 2 more times since then. Right after he won the Arnold, he came on again, and Sergio came on a second time as an interview. And if they didn't live in other countries and the times weren't mixed up, I would have them on Muscle Talk. But literally, like, Sergio's in Dubai, and it's literally like 2:00 in the morning when I tried doing it here, and Samson is 5 hours ahead in the UK. Those would be my favorite because of emotional attachments. But personality, I'd have to go with Nick Walker because he just tells it like it is. If you saw that interview he did, I don't remember who the interview was. They were asking about top athletes, and he was just, Regan Grimes should stick to Instagram. Not that I agree with it, but and it was saying like Samson Dowda's back as flat as a board. I don't agree with it, but his honesty, I respected his honesty. Obviously, I don't agree with the Regan Grimes and the Samson Dowda opinion, but his honesty, I truly respect his honesty. There's so many people that want to dance around because they don't want to offend anybody, and I hate that with a passion, as you could tell if you're watching my show. But he doesn't. He just, no problem. I'm going to tell you like it is. So I actually really, training style. I don't watch anybody train and it gets me like crazy anymore. It used to be Branch Warren and Johnny Jackson. I used to watch them. I used to watch Branch Warren Unchained or Branch and Johnny working out together. And as soon as you watched them, you were like, you couldn't wait to go to the gym. I'm trying to think if there's a bodybuilder that still does that. There probably is. I probably just don't know because I don't follow the young guys with the exception of like maybe Instagram. I don't follow them on YouTube much anymore. I'm trying to think is if there is a guy that trains like an animal anymore, there has to be. There has to be. I'm trying to think. Hunter, I've seen some training videos of Hunter, especially recently when he's really decided that he was going to put in the work and he's made some great strides. He definitely trains like a beast. The truth of the matter is, if you're a real bodybuilder, form and technique and a methodical approach with intensity is always the best. So you see these guys really concentrating and getting mind-muscle connection. And then the last few reps, they're really digging in, so on and so forth. And that seems to be the best way to improve as far as a bodybuilder. When you watch Johnny Jackson and Branch Warren from yesteryear, they were just animals in the gym. Right? They didn't give a fuck about mind-muscle connection. It's going to be, I'm going to lift as much weight as I can for as many reps as I can. I don't give a shit if I tear something in my fucking head. I'm doing it. And, that would get everybody crazy, I couldn't like a Dorian Yates, same thing, the blood gut, that kind of thing, but if I'm missing somebody, like if I don't know, put a comment in the comment area and let me know, like I should watch this bodybuilder train because he trains hard and he's very motivational, inspiring. I'll check him out, because even though I go to the gym strictly almost every night, I still need motivation. Okay, next one. This is actually, I got the same question from two different people. Jay Holmesy, 52, and Fraud is the man. How political is bodybuilding? It's always going to be political, but I don't think it is as political as it used to be. There hasn't been a show where I really, really disagreed with the judges in a very long time. Like, for example, this last show at the Chicago Pro, not because I predicted it, but after watching the prejudging, I really felt that was the best call. I think overall the best was Justin Shire. Jonathan De La Rosa was second best, and Stanimal was third. Now, Stanimal had the best conditioning. There's no question about it, but he wasn't as complete. He wasn't as big. He wasn't as full. His legs weren't as big. I mean, if John De La Rosa was 5 or 10% harder, he probably could have won. But Justin Shire showed up. His conditioning was good enough, but everything else was fantastic. His flow, his symmetry, his balance. Now, look, I'm just going to say it like it is. When Joe Weider was in charge, you saw it was a lot of politics, right? I mean, the 1980 Olympia with Arnold Schwarzenegger winning, yeah, he should have won that. That was clearly political. I mean, you could bring all in Nasser and Dorian. I think it was 96. I might be wrong. Jay Cutler and Victor Martinez. I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, even in the NPC level, it's probably more political in the NPC level, right? Because it just doesn't matter as much. What I mean by that is there's no real microscope under the NPC level. So if you sneak somebody in, a win here, a win there, because whatever, he goes to your gym or some shit like that, you're probably not going to really get criticized much for it. Where if you do it on a big stage, with social media, they call that shit out, man. Listen, the guys would still probably have bubble guts if the social media people didn't call it out. And they were sick of seeing guys with distended stomachs winning. And it was their voice that actually made them make a change. And they've penalized, and then they started penalized. Now the guys make sure that if they have a distended stomach, they have to have that shit under control. Now these guys are doing vacuums. The top pros, open bodybuilders, are doing vacuums. It's impressive. And so I think it's probably more political in the NPC level. Again, I don't have an inside scoop like that. And if I did, I wouldn't even be able to ask it. Right? Nobody's going to tell me that. Oh, yeah. We're going to make this guy win because it's so blah, 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 blah. This is just from the outside looking in. I think it's always going to be somewhat political, but I think it is a lot less now than it was 20, 30 years ago. That's just my opinion. All right, next question let's go from the beginning here. Fran is the man. If you can remove one men's and women's division in the IFB, what would it be? Well, men, obviously, I would get rid of physique. Because I don't know. I'm just not a physique guy. I'm not into not training legs or not judging legs. It's an entire body that needs to be judged. Whatever. I mean, that would be the one I would remove. And then the women, definitely not bodybuilding because I'm a bodybuilding fan. Bikini, I kind of get. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not bodybuilding, but I kind of get it because it's very popular. Majority of girls want to look like that, right? Thin and healthy, looking healthy and fit with the big boobs and so on and so forth. So I kind of get it. I'd probably say fitness, definitely not. Fitness is clearly the most talented girls on the stage without even a thought. You can't, that's why there's so little of them. That's why there's not that many of them, because that is true talent. They have to come in shape, and the acrobatic routine they do on stage is fantastic. I would probably pull figure. I don't think there's a reason for figure. I think, I probably pull figure. I think most of the girls that are doing figure now are moving up to physique, or if they have a big bum, they're moving up to wellness. I probably pull figure because, I can understand having a women's physique because it's like a smaller version of women's bodybuilding, but you're going to have a smaller version of women's bodybuilding that's figure. That's just my opinion. I don't know. All right. Next question from Fran is the man. Next one. Now that you are the Nostradamus of bodybuilding, any plans of judging shows in the future? No, but thank you for calling me the Nostradamus of bodybuilding because I could see into the future, apparently. No, I am not going to judge any shows. I mean, if I was invited to, I'd probably judge shows, but nobody knows me like that. Maybe in the future, who knows? I wouldn't turn it down. It would be an honor if somebody asked me to judge a bodybuilding show. Have you met a pro bodybuilder influencer in person, but then left disappointed as a fan? Yes. And I am not going to say the name of him, but extremely disappointed. As a matter of fact, I cut the conversation short because I was so disappointed, and I am not going to name names, but that person was really, really disappointing. It was unfortunate. I don't want to name names, but what happened was that person was supposed to do a interview with me, and I always set a time, 8:30, 7:30, whatever. I always arrange a time, and then that person was basically telling me how tired they were and they don't have much time and he wants to go to bed and so on and so forth. So I said, okay, I jump on with him early. And it was really like the interview lasted 15 minutes. Like if anybody's ever seen my interviews, it's always 45 minutes to an hour and 10. Interview lasted 15 minutes. I was so disappointed. And so like, I was like in my head, I'm like, this guy's an asshole. That was it. But I'm not going to mention who it is because that would just be wrong. All right. Fran is the man. Oh, that's the political one. Okay. So here it is. Another one. Fran is the man. Is there a movie about your life? What actor do you want to play yourself? Brad Pitt, obviously. Who else is as handsome as me? I mean, there's not too many guys on the planet that's as handsome as me. So you're going to have to put like the best looking guy in Hollywood to like, at least try to simulate how handsome I am. So, Brad Pitt or like, who else is very handsome? Seth Rogen. I don't know. Who would obviously Vin Diesel would be probably the first pick because he looks like me, or I look like him. But he's a shitty actor, so I wouldn't want him because he's a terrible actor. But I don't know, man. That's just a funny question. Next question, Fonda's the man. What state produces the better bodybuilders? New Jersey or New York? That's a tough one, man. I would say New Jersey produces more bodybuilders, but New York produces more quality, if that makes sense. That's just my opinion. Because you look at who comes from New York, Juan Morel, John De La Rosa, Dave Palumbo, Thackeray, who else? And then in Jersey, it's just a ton of pros turning pro and pro on every division. And don't get me wrong, there was some, Nick Walker is from Jersey and he's just a fantastic bodybuilder, right? I mean, that goes without saying. But what's funny? A lot of them are transplants. Like Johnny Jackson is from originally Jersey, but now he lives in Texas. Phil Klahar is originally from Jersey, but I think he lives in Florida now. So I don't know. That's a toss up. I think New York makes better quality, but New Jersey has more. But I might be wrong. About that. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Next one. Fran is the man. With so many bodybuilders passing away too soon, which death hit you the hardest? That's actually a really good question. Which death hit me the hardest? I'd probably say Shawn Rhoden, because he had just reached the pinnacle of his career. He had finally made it to the top. And he was going through hell with the allegation, the sex scandal allegation, which we will never know if it's true or not because he's passed away. But he was going through hell, and I wanted to see him come out on top. A lot of people during that time, and still are, were falling to this Me Too movement, believe all women. I mean, don't get me wrong. If a guy is guilty, legitimately guilty, then he should be punished. But there were a lot of guys that were not legitimately guilty and were canceled for it. And we don't know if he was guilty or not. And he was canceled for it. He couldn't compete for several years. And then he passed away. And a lot of us that were fans of his really wanted to see him prevail. Like I said, I don't want to see any women get hurt or harassed or abused physically or raped. I can't say that word on YouTube. The little bit of research I did, the evidence wasn't there, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just there might be more to the story, but we're never going to find out. But I was really hoping that he would prevail, and because he was such a talented bodybuilder, and he was so down to earth. I remember the first question that he was on Dave Palumbo after he won the Olympia, and he said the first question that Dave Palumbo asked him was, "What are you going to do with the money?" And he said, "The first thing I'm going to do is pay my taxes." And I was like, "That's as down to earth as you could probably get, man." Next question. Do you consider yourself a good poser, or what was your song of choice for pose? No, I was a terrible poser. I'm not gingerly at all. I mean, literally, when I was a kid, I used to take boxing. I used to trip over my own feet. And I'm telling you the truth. And I remember the boxing coach would have to tell me, don't cross your feet. If you're gonna move 1 foot and slide the other foot, 1 foot and slide the other foot. And I would constantly cross my feet. And I'm just not a ballerina. Let's put it that way. Terrible poser. What was the other part of the question? Oh, music. I always had like a guy friend that would DJ and put music together. And I remember the last one I did, the movie Batman was really huge with Bane. So I took clips of what Bane would say and I put it to some house music. And it actually came out really good. And I even did that with, I always kind of got a local DJ and paid him a few bucks, and they put together a 60-second posing music for me. And then I would do a routine not a routine, whatever, do a posing, I guess you call it a routine to that music. To me, that was always fun. I wouldn't just pick a song because I wanted it to be original, Okay, next question. Fran is the man. Why are there barely any bodybuilders in the open shows, even though it's easier to get a pro? All right, here's my opinion as to why. Okay, I'm just going to give you my opinion. I think this is the millennial generation and Gen Z generation all grown up, and they are the most entitled generation, and they just don't want to fight for it. That's my opinion. I might be dead wrong, but that's my opinion. You have to understand what happened with millennial generation and Gen Z generation. Okay, first of all, they didn't have as many kids. So if you got 1 or 2 kids, all your priority is on those kids. Okay, everything revolves around them. If you come from a family 3, 4, 5 kids, right? You're constantly keeping each other busy, and your parents are you don't have time to pick a favorite. If you're an only child, it's called only child syndrome, right? I mean, literally, it's like you can't compromise. They have the worst time with relationships because they can't compromise, because they were always the only one. Every ounce of energy of your parents was put into them, and that you're the only one that was considered. Now, also too, parents were starting to, during the millennial generation, they were starting to have kids older, have kids into their 30s. So the separation of parents to grandparents was greater. So you also you weren't growing up with grandparents right there. like you used to when you were a kid. That's that whole family thing had started falling apart. The nuclear family had started falling apart. And then, on top of that, I was afraid to discipline the kids. So I think that this is the generation, all grown up, that we see a very entitled generation. That being said, there are bodybuilders out there that are from that generation that are fucking killing it. Like a Derek, like a Nick Walker, like Samson Dowda. You go down the line that are fucking killing it. They're wrecking shit. So that's just a generalization. It's an exception to every rule, and that's just my opinion. I might be dead wrong. Also, making money is different, right? Most of the money comes from endorsements, social media, where it's now. Well, back then you had to compete in order to get. You had a contract from Joe Weider or muscular development, so on and so forth. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, next question. Fran is the man. If Bud Light and Target decides to sponsor you as their first sponsored bodybuilder, would you accept it? I think you know the answer. The answer is fuck no. I would not accept anything from Bud Light or Target. I'm sorry. I am too old to sell out. All right. I've been, self-sponsored for the last 3 years. So I'm too old to sell out. I would never in a million years have any woke company sponsor me. Fuck that. No way. I would be a part of the problem instead of fixing the problem. Okay, next one. If steroids never existed, who do you think would be the best bodybuilder based on pure genetics? Well, it's the same thing. It'd be the same turnout. Ronnie Coleman would still be the greatest bodybuilder in the world, except when you take steroids, you're just putting everybody on an even playing field. You take steroids away, and everybody's on an even playing field again. So it would still be Ronnie Coleman would be the greatest bodybuilder in the world ever. Period. That's it. It's not whether you have steroids in bodybuilding or you take steroids away. It's just putting themselves on an even playing field. That's it. So it would be the same turnout, only they wouldn't look as freaky. That's really it. All right. Okay. Next question. If you had a pro card, would you be someone who competes once a year or multiple shows a year? Oh, God. All right. If I had a pro card, I would hope to God. Well, first of all, if I had a pro card, then that's what I would be doing for a living, right? So I would hope that if I was doing that for a living, yeah, I would probably be doing more shows, because if I'm a bodybuilder and that's my job and that's how I provide for my family, then I'm going to compete, right? I mean, I don't understand why these guys are not competing. There's a show coming up this weekend. Let me say, literally this weekend, and it is. Hold on. Okay. All right. Yeah, the big man bodybuilding show, Big Man Weekend Championship. This is I forgot what part of Europe. I know two of the names. I don't know any of these guys. Fritz, I know him, and Amir Omar Jack, and I know him from last. Every other person, I have no clue. I don't understand why these guys aren't like. So now what's going to happen is all these opportunities are going to start dropping because you're going to have stacked. Now you're going to have stacked shows. So in Texas, you're going to have Hunter, Andrew Jack, Carlos Thomas Jr. Those are three heavy hitters. And then there was a show in, I think, 6 or 7 weeks in Europe, and you're going to have Nathan Diasha, and you're going to have Good Vito, and you're going to have Regan Grimes. That's a stacked show, right? But then you could qualify, do this show. And you like if Nathan Diasha really wanted to go to the Olympia, he's in Europe. When you're in the UK, do this one. And you can still do the other one, but at least you lock down a qualification. I don't know, but I would hope that I would be one of the guys that would want to compete. I'll tell you one thing, I would probably do a lot of guest posing and appearances, because I would now as an older man, I appreciate people more, fans, like family, if you will, people that support me. I appreciate greatly. And that's why I chose, Sergio and Samson as my favorite, because there's an emotional connection, because they supported me from the beginning on my channel. And Dave Palumbo is another guy, you know, since the beginning, he's always, you know, supported me. So, you know, I would hope, and I do hope still, that if my channel gets better and better and better and people want me at their shows and whatnot, that I would give back to the fans. And that is the plan. These guys that don't want to shake hands or don't want to take pictures, it's not good. It's not good for the sport. It's not good for any sport, especially bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is one of those 100% niche sports where if the fans aren't interacting, the fans aren't there, you're nothing, literally nothing. It's not like football or baseball where, you know, if you're the best of the best, you're still going to get a contract and make crazy amounts of money, and you're protected from the public a little bit better, right? Whereas in bodybuilding, it's a very, very small market. It's a very niche sport. So the fans are very, very important. And you don't want to be one of those bodybuilders that fans are shitting on. You want to go out of your way to shake hands and have a conversation. You know, I don't think a lot of the guys realize how much inspiration and motivation they give to young guys or women or even older guys. I see it all the time. I still see older guys in the gym, and they love bodybuilding and they love meeting people and so on and so forth. I think I would hope that I would be the type of guy. Well, I know that I would be the type of guy. Let's put it that way. And when my channel blows up and people want me, I will certainly always go on other people's shows. I will certainly go on anyone's podcast, and certainly go out of my way to meet people. I think I got off track here. What was the actual question? Oh, the actual question was what, right. Okay. The actual question was, if I was a bodybuilder, would I be the type of bodybuilder that would compete once a year? Not if that's what I do for a living. No, man. No, I wouldn't. You know, no, definitely not. What I would probably do is I would probably try to get the Olympic qualification early on, like a New York Pro or a Toronto Pro or something like that. Lock it down like Ian Valier did or Tony O'Burton did, or even Samson with the Arnold Classic. And then I would spend, until prep came, I would spend a majority of time, you know, meeting people and endorsing the sport and, you know, market myself as my own product, you know. And then when it's time to lock down, I'd lock down for the Olympia. And then if there were any shows after the Olympia, I'd be in shape. Well, I'm going to do the shows after the Olympia, right? There used to be a European tour. And there's still shows after the Olympia here and there, right? I'm pretty sure. Anyway, okay. Last question. And this comes from a friend of mine in the gym. My friend wanted to, he's a young kid. He's a nice kid. He wanted me to give him a good chest workout. So I was like, I'm going to, you know, answer that on the show. I gave it to him, obviously, anyway. So a good chest workout for me always started with either incline or flat. So if I do incline dumbbells or incline barbell, always free weights. Then I would move to incline. Then I would move to flat dumbbell or flat barbell, right? Now that I'm older, I usually do one free weight and then one hammer strength, right? So I would do, like, now that I'm older, I'll do, you know, dumbbell, incline, and then move to hammer strength flat, or vice versa. I would do flat, dumbbell, hammer strength, incline, because I'm older. But when I was younger, I probably stay with free weights. And then after those two, I'd go into dips, and I would probably do 4 or 5 sets of dips. If you're in a hardcore gym, use chains, because if you use chains and wrap around the neck, your body's actually tilted forward, and it's more of a press, you know, instead of going up and down, right? If you don't have chains, just do as many dips as you possibly can, or if you have the weighted belt or whatnot. And then I would go into a fly or cables or something like that, pec deck, something to that effect. And that's about it. But, you know, it seems like an easy chest workout, but it's only 4 movements, but you have to put your all into it. You know, you got to do a couple of warm-up sets, and then you're doing 3 or 4, you know, sets after that of, let's say, incline, and you're pushing every set. You're pushing to the limit, pushing. Same thing when you move on to a flat, you're pushing. Same thing when you're doing dips. You're pushing. It's to exhaustion, to the point where you are, to failure. And when you do, whether it's pec deck or cables or flies, you're really squeezing and really feeling the muscle and really thinking, really concentrating on the mind muscle connection. That would be any more for chest. I wouldn't. Just my opinion. I wouldn't do. I think you kind of stay right there. 12 to 15 sets tops once a week. That's it. And that's about it. That's it for Anabolic Academy. Everybody who tunes in, thank you. I appreciate every single one of you. Believe me, I appreciate every single one of you. And I'll do whatever I can to keep you guys interested. Every day I'm fishing for new topics and new people. Like I said, you don't want to miss this muscle talk coming up. We're recording Wednesday. It'll be out Thursday. Believe me when I say you don't want to miss this one. This is a very, very, very popular bodybuilder today, right now, elite training and competing today. He will be on the show with us. So you don't want to miss it. It's going to be fantastic. Please like, subscribe, share. God bless every one of you. I love every one of you. And that's it. I'm out. Later.